Hello again, everyone. My name is William Malone, and I am the author of Cops in Kabul, a Newfoundland Peacekeeper in Afghanistan, published by Flanker Press. This is the third in a four-part reading series that I've been doing for Flanker. The excerpt that I'll be reading this evening comes from Chapter 9. It's called Clear and Present Danger. And as with all my chapters, I preface them with a quote, and this one is from Niccolo Machiavelli, and it says, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." As the month of August slowly came to an end, we knew that the 10th anniversary of 9/11 was right around the corner. For a number of weeks, we had been hearing about large attacks being planned all over the country. This information was apparently derived from documents seized from one of Osama bin Laden's compounds. We became so accustomed to hearing about the bad guys wanting to blow us up that it elicited responses like, "So what else is new?" That type of threat and intel was like background noise to us. It was business as usual. It wasn't that we were becoming lackadaisical about our situation. We just got tired of hearing it. Every one of us knew that we always had to be on our guard at all times, and this state of alertness sapped our energy over time. Not only that, this hypervigilance would prove to be difficult to turn off once we returned home to our family and friends in Canada. Soon, intel was received that additional rocket attacks were being planned for the Kabul area. These attacks were to be launched from the hills surrounding the city. One of the preferred modus operandi of the insurgency was to sit in the hills around the city and fire crudely made rockets into the city center. The problem with this, other than the fact that they were rockets, was that the insurgents were very inaccurate. This lack of accuracy made it more dangerous for everyone because the things could land anywhere in the general vicinity of their intended target, which was usually Afghan government ministries, the UK embassy, or the US embassy. The insurgents were only limited by their imagination when it came to their methods of attack. There was the standard fare of suicide bombers wearing vests laden with explosives, vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices, roadside IEDs, and magnetic IEDs. But one of the most ingenious methods they developed to undermine security measures was planting bombs inside of animals, such as cows and donkeys. When I first heard this, I thought that people were joking, but it was in fact true. I could see the wheels turning in the minds of some of my colleagues. They were trying to visualize it. I knew that some of them were thinking there would be nothing worse than seeing an ass explode. This type of dark humor was commonplace amongst first responders and military personnel. It was our coping mechanism to deal with the stress created by difficult and dangerous situations that we all face in our chosen professions. Unfortunately, it was these types of explosive devices that were responsible for bringing great sadness and sorrow to many Canadian families who lost loved ones during the conflict. Over the course of the entire Afghan mission, a number of Canadian police officers were also exposed to and witnessed the carnage and destruction of these insidious implements of war. One former colleague of mine and his driver were critically injured in 2009 when a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device detonated near their vehicle near the ISAF headquarters in Kabul. Fortunately, both of them made a full recovery despite their very serious injuries. The program managers meeting at the Canadian Embassy on the morning of August 25, 2012 was another stark reminder of the environment we were working in. Our mission security officer was once again front and center, informing us of the litany of threats that were out there. There were 16 threat warnings, 11 of which were ongoing, plus 5 new ones. They included the finest supermarket, which was located in Wazir Akbar Khan's circle. This was a place that was previously attacked and one that we passed every day when we left the embassy to go anywhere in the city. Another location on the insurgents' radar was the Green Village, one of the European police residential compounds, as well as the east gate of the Kabul International Airport, which was nothing new. The airport was consistently on the target list of the insurgents and the Taliban. This made commercial air travel an adventure every time we had to go to the airport. Kidnapping was also something we had to be constantly aware of. Westerners were always considered high-value targets by both criminal and insurgent groups. And none of us wanted to be seen in an orange jumpsuit on YouTube about to have our heads cut off. The threat levels were also raised to the highest level for the Canadian National Support Element, the military, who were located at Camp Phoenix. The Taliban were also quite active. They had changed their tactics and began outsourcing their attacks to the Haqqani network for 5 Afghan provinces, one of which was Kabul. Intelligence reports were indicating that they were planning significant attacks sometime around 9/11 to honor the death of Osama bin Laden. It was quite common for insurgents to pick dates that had some sort of symbolic meaning or significance, such as religious holidays, birthdays of revered individuals, and the like. Another new tactic the Taliban started to use was the destruction of mobile cellular communications towers. The Afghan cellular telephone carrier Roshan was forced to agree with the Taliban demands to shut off the towers between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. each day, so coalition forces couldn't use the network to triangulate the positions of the Taliban. When the Taliban were located, it generally resulted in massive bombardments and a few less Taliban in the world. It was a catch-22 situation for the Taliban because they needed the cell network to communicate, but if they used it, it could result in their detection and ultimate death. As we drew closer to 9/11, the threat warnings began to intensify. There were increased vehicle-borne improvised explosive device threats to Canadian interests, the UN compound on Jalalabad Road, and other unnamed locations throughout Kabul. We were also told that there was increased presence of the Haqqani network near the Canadian, UK, and German embassies, in particular Wazir Akbar Khan's circle. The double entendre of Wax Circle was not lost on us. Several months earlier, the finest supermarket had been hit by insurgents, resulting in the death of a number of Afghan civilians as well as insurgents. We could literally see the grocery store at the end of the street from the Canadian embassy. Additional information was also shared that the Canadian military convoy was under surveillance the day before as it was traveling to Kabul International Airport. There was no doubt that threats had increased and there was something brewing. The anticipated attacks were supposed to occur on Western vehicles somewhere around the Eid al-Fitr holiday. Given the increased threat level, movement restrictions were initiated at 9 p.m. that day until further notice. This meant that all travel would have to be approved by program managers. Any travel would have to be deemed essential. The challenge with this was that program managers had different interpretations of what was considered essential. This was a constant bone of contention between the mission security officer and some of the embassy's diplomatic staff. Coincidentally, a couple of days later, specific threat information surfaced that insurgents were looking to kidnap foreign nationals, and Canadians were specifically mentioned. September 11, 2011 came and went without incident, but this all changed a couple of days later on September 13th. At the program managers meeting, the mission security officer went through another list of all the new ways the bad guys were planning to kill us. IEDs and tin cans, VB IEDs using NGO vehicles, and good old faithful men in burqas walking around the exterior of military camps waiting to blow themselves up. It was just another day in Afghanistan. And with that, I'll end it there. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.